Back with our special guest, Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. He specializes in fighting all things swampish, in shining a bright light on corruption in Capitol Hill and elsewhere. But also, you've been well, it's all connected, really. But Tom, you've been rather outspoken of late with regards to the federal response to the Chinese Wuhan coronavirus. I'm not a big fan of sloshing our tax money around as if there's no tomorrow and we're a bunch of drunken sailors. It looks like the Democrats have delayed yet again the signing of that bill. It is now 4 days late. What's your latest read, Tom, on the response with our taxpayer money to this threat?
It's $2.2 trillion. I don't think it will help in the long run. It may help put some cash into some people. When you spend that type of money, someone's going to be helped. But the real help needs to be reopening the country back up for business. And we've had governors and local officials shut down our country based on what? I don't know. There's this experiment going on about how to contain this serious illness, and it is serious. I don't want to diminish. I don't want anyone to get sick. I don't want anyone to get sick. I don't want anyone to die. But I also don't want to destroy the country. And what's happening now is our economy is being destroyed. What's the new numbers? 3.28 million unemployed.
Yes.
We're
a record
on the edge of a depression because of this shutdown, and it's got to stop. That has health consequences every bit as dire and damaging to, and it's as damaging to our country as what's happening now with the coronavirus. We're beating the coronavirus in large measure throughout the land. There are places where there's a challenge, and we should deploy the appropriate resources to help those places. But the idea that none of us are supposed to go to work, that all of our schools are closed, I don't know what the science is behind that. I keep on hearing that we need to have clinical trials for these new drugs or drugs that have been out for 100 years plus to figure out whether they work. Where's the clinical trials? Where's the science behind shutting down a country of 330 million people? Where's that been? Where's that experiment taken place before? Where's the control for that?
That's a fabulous question. There is no control. There is no experiment. We've never done this before. But clearly there are psychological, there are health ramifications for basically shutting down America in response to a virus that has taken 1,000 lives so far. Tom, you mentioned something. You mentioned local authorities. You mentioned state authorities. I find it, we mentioned this on the show yesterday, and I'd love to get your take on this. The idea that ostensibly for political purposes of personal animus, a governor, the governor of Nevada, who's not a medical professional, can ban the use of an established, tested treatment, a drug, for use off-label for a new purpose against this coronavirus, Wuhan virus threat. Has anything like that happened before, when a governor just outlaws something that was perfectly fine for use in healing our fellow Americans?
No, there's certainly nothing of recent precedent like that. And you aptly describe the issue. He's not reacting to any science. He's not reacting to the evidence that's being gathered every day that this drug is working. And the doctors have a right to prescribe medicine for off-label use. So if someone comes in, they're sick, there's good evidence that a particular drug will help them. Doctors, in their discretion and consultation with their patients, can prescribe this type of medication, or would ordinarily be able to. So this is kind of a sort of a deranged response by someone who hates Trump more than he loves the health of his citizenry.
Yes, indeed. In the last 2 minutes we have with Tom Fitton, follow him on Twitter at Tom Fitton, and please check out and support Judicial Watch at judicialwatch.org. You've been fighting corruption for decades now and doing an incredible job with you and your team. Isn't there, if you look at the aid package, it's not $2 trillion. If you add everything else, all the additional measures by the Fed, it is upwards of $6 trillion we're talking about. When government loses that much of our money, taxpayer money, isn't that just going to make the swamp even more corrupt than it was in the past, Tom?
Yes, because you're going to have every dollar spent, especially when you're doling it out to corporations who live or die based on their ability to basically avoid government regulation or deal with it. That's where you get this sort of imbalance of power that just worsens the relationship between the government and the private sector. And so the airline companies will, the question is, will they be effectively be taken over by the federal government for a period of time as a result of this help? I don't know. You know, this is an unprecedented intervention in the private economy by the federal government, and it didn't have to happen, but for the overreaction of panicked local and government officials to the coronavirus. The federal government never told anyone to shut down the economy. The Trump administration's advice was, if you're home, stay sick. If you're going to work, go if you need to go in. But stay away from people. Wash your hands. Do sensible steps. If you need to close the schools, do it in severe circumstances. Otherwise, keep them open. There was no directive from the federal government to shut anyone down. This is all state police power being exercised, sometimes appropriately, largely inappropriately.
Yeah, largely.
Our capital, Seb, is being shut down right now for no good reason.
The parks have been shut down in Virginia. The sheer insanity. We have one really bad hot zone in New York. We have another one in Washington State. And then what? The rest of the country has to be on lockdown. It's not American. It's not common sense. Thank you so much for joining us today. Keep doing what you do and support this man, Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First.